Hey everyone! Welcome to the live stream. You will see from us that we had a small hiccup with the far camera, so you're going to get to see more of the dev team and less of James and myself, but that is James, and I am here. You will see me in a minute. We are here to reveal our new rogue soul. So how about you guys introduce yourselves, and we can get into the game and start talking about that soul.
Hi, I'm Elion, the rogue dev for Rift.
And this week you can call me Phil.
We all love Phil.
So let's get on into the game and, start showing some stuff off. Hi guys, this is, how I'll be when I ask questions. How about I start off by just saying, give us an overview. Tell us about the soul. It's the Tactician. Tell us, what was the basis and the thought process behind making him?
Man, LR ruined it in the first 2 seconds. Way to kill our great reveal. So the Tactician is the new rogue soul, obviously, with Pimp Cape. So I think this is the same cape we've been showing. We need to show a new cape. Anyways, so new rogue soul, right? And the thing that we're doing with the Tactician is very similar to what we've done with the Warrior, with the Tempest, with the Mage, the Harbinger. And we're trying to mix it up and give people a new style of gameplay, something that's new and interesting, but also something that really supports the gaps that are in the existing soul choices for the rogue. So where the Tactician comes in is he is actually an AoE specialist, so specializes in AoE damage and AoE healing, which makes him synergize extremely well with some of the souls that didn't quite have great combos in the past, right? So synergizes really well with the Bard, synergizes really well with the Saboteur, and since he's got tons and tons of fire, as LRR is displaying for us, he synergizes really well with the Nightblade as well. In terms of what he does, he's very much themed with the rest of the expansion, just like the rest of our souls. He has a variety of special attacks and abilities, but the way that they're all designed is that they are all based around all this magical technology, this old Imperium technology. So he, instead of channeling magic directly like the Tempest, or building, summoning his own special magical blades like the Harbinger, he actually has gadgets, constructs, and all sorts of special gimmicks that allow him to use this magical technology that has been found on the continent of Bretagne. So, Elion, why don't we take a look and give us some examples of abilities?
Sure. So the Tactician has two primary sets of abilities. First off, you have the Torrents, which are actually AE abilities that can do damage or heal allies in front of you. And it also orientates based on where your player is facing. So you can be strafing, you can be running, you can be jumping, you can be rotating, and it just follows wherever you go. Because of the way how torrents function, player positioning and player orientation are important to actually maximize your damage output and healing. Secondly, we have cores, which are actually Empyrean objects that you place at your current location. It deals damage to surrounding enemies, it heals allies or buff them if they're within its vicinity.
So on top of that, they also have a variety of other things. So like LR just dropped one of the, I think it's the Necrotic Core. Yeah. So they have a variety of other gadgets that will channel the Imperium magics, including things that we refer to as remotes. So remotes are very similar to buffs that are in, on a lot of the other classes, but their theme's slightly different. So like, for example, you can deploy a barrier remote, which absorbs damage. There's a curative remote that you can put on opponents that puts a shield of energy around them that all of your allies, whenever they hit them, it reflects healing back onto them.
That's right.
So on top of that, there's other things as well, like engines, right? Which are buffs, right?
So engines are like gadget key self buffs, which you can only activate one at a time. It has various benefits. For example, curative engine. When enemies hit you, you actually heal. So that is actually a very good soloing choice. And then you have Empyrean engine, which actually does splash damage whenever you use one of your builders.
And that's just kind of a small sampling of all the great stuff the Tactician gets. Now, like we said before, it synergizes really well with some of the existing souls. So one of the more popular builds that we've had, one of our more popular sets,
just so you guys
Do
know,
I need the twist or?
a little bit,
No. I'm prepared.
a little bit earlier,
I'm
you
prepared.
guys were asking what Gersh was going to drink, and so now you can see what Gersh is drinking.
You know, a real lush has an opener on his keychain.
Mhm.
Anyways, thank you. So where was I? Combinations, right? So as many of you are well aware, probably because you're playing and watching right now, we opened our beta event this weekend. So this was our first beta weekend event. We've got quite a number of people running around. And one of the things that introduced was not only the new souls for people to play in, or where are we right now? Cape Jewel or Peladane?
We are in Peladane.
Peladane, which is one of the new zones. But it also introduced a ton of new preset soul combinations. One of the things that we'll be doing with 1.11 and with 2.0 is introducing a lot more preset soul combinations. So you can get in there and play very, very quickly and kind of see what's going on and not have to spend a lot of time rejiggering your character. Now, one of those presets happens to be the Flame Trooper. Yeah. So the Flame Trooper is a combination of the Tactician and the Nightblade, which is all sorts of about offense. And if I remember correctly, the reason why that works so well is it takes the Tactician, who has a lot of AE, supplements it with single target, and also synergizes really well because they both have magic attacks, right?
Yes. So the Tactician has a shortcoming, is that it lacks single target focus. So the Nightblade addresses that issue. So when you are taking on a single enemy, you will be using your Nightblade abilities. And we are taking a group of enemies, you'll be using your torrents. Because of this non-physical team oriented to these two souls, it creates very strong synergy between the both of them.
Another great combination, which we don't have loaded up right now, but is probably one of the more fun to play, is if you wanted to say, oh, hell with it, and you want to go pure destruction no matter what, and you're really into a really, really super strong AE build. I've heard that the combination of the Tactician and the Saboteur make this complete badass commando. Like he's actually got a Molotov cocktail, doesn't he?
Yes. So one of the new abilities that we introduced, it's the Molotov cocktail. I think it's like a 61-point Saboteur. So basically here it does, you throw a bottle towards the target, then along the projectile's trail, it actually burns enemies along it. And once it hits the target, it ignites and actually incinerates enemies all around it.
So, actually, LR, do you have any open soul slots? Any rolls?
I do indeed.
Oh, okay, cool. So get yourself out of combat, like
Sure.
go invis or something special like that. And we can use this opportunity to show another really neat feature we just added recently, and maybe a question. Is that
Yeah,
why
I
you're
did. I
pointing
do
me?
want to. Oh, sorry, my camera's stuttering a little bit for you. I'll try and fix that, guys. So I do want to ask. People are, looking at the stream and seeing the new area. Can you talk about where we are right now? We're actually on the beta shard. So you'll see some people running around, saying I'm on camera.
Let's show,
so hi
show
to
the
all
really
you
cool
guys.
stuff. Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about where we actually are?
So, like LR said, we are in Peladane right now. I believe he's inside one of the kind of Earth-themed caves or Earth-death-themed caves. I can't remember the exact name of the area.
Yeah.
What's the area you're in right now?
It's called Quarry of the Architects. It looks like a piece of the Infinity Gate fell somewhere around here,
Yep.
and something involving these bug guys.
Yeah, so the Architects are one of the enemy NPC factions in the game, and they are all about, they kind of mine and build all of this ancient technology. So they're very advanced. They are kind of underground civilization, so you'll come across a number of these areas and areas across the entire continent of Duskin. And who's that jumping around over there? Is that a Harbinger? Oh, yeah, that was a Harbinger. So they're showing off the Harbinger polymorph as well. We have a variety of other cool things to show. So why don't you pop open, you're dancing, pop open the soul tree and go, you have an empty roll slot
I
ticket?
do. I've got one open
So
here.
we were talking about the Harbinger, sorry, not the Harbinger, but the Saboteur earlier. So let's exit out of here and go back to your regular soul tree real quick.
Okay.
Slot of Saboteur. All right, cool. Now, one of the things we did is we added the ability to quick spend points. So if you see LRR, just click that button there, and now he's fully spent in Saboteur. So let's say save and exit, and let's see if that Molotov cocktail ability is now in your ability binder.
What's it under? Damage?
Yep,
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
So let's see how that thing works. So how does this work?
So
Well, let's
you
go.
just fire at a target, And along the projectile, it deals damage. Let's see.
So if he tosses it to this guy,
Mr.
it's just
Bud.
going to do a line of fire. Let's toss it.
You got any friends here?
Yeah, just do it.
Oh man.
So, like we were saying, one of the things we're trying to do is a lot of new styles of ability. So, we never had something like the flamethrowers in the past. We didn't have things, you may have seen a beam of energy between Elrar and his target. Actually, as he sweeps around, it'll damage everybody that's in the way. We have a lot of special, kind of more arcadey feeling things that are going on in the game. A lot more situational and strategic use abilities. Speaking of situational strategic use, this guy is just on your grill. The other class combination we wanted to show today, because I know a lot of people are interested in bards, was a combination of the bard and the tactician. So why don't we join a instant adventure real quick?
I think do we have one right here?
Well, yeah, if you hit
we have
join
the group.
public group, that thing that's right up there.
Actually, that's not the...
No, that's just two people.
Group.
Yeah, you should get out of that one. We don't
I
want
do
to
have.
anything with them.
I have one other question too, which might be for anyone here. They want to know how you get your awesome hat, Elvar.
How I get my awesome hat? I'm not sure which. It's a level 60 set of gear.
Yeah, that's actually a level 60 set of leather gear, and I'm not going to spoil that quite yet because the designer that's building those items would be very, very upset with me. So why don't we switch over to that?
To the battle bard.
The battle bard.
Or medical technician.
Medical technician, right? So,
Yes.
and why don't you explain a little bit more about what this what this combination is all about?
So the medical technician preps patients for surgery, perform MRI scans, and operates the dialysis machine. Basically,
The
it combines
dialysis machine. Jesus
Yes.
Christ, dude. That's not heroic at all. So anyways,
So
basically,
it
sorry.
combines the powers of
The
the bard
scalpel of destiny.
and the tactician to form your one true support healing build.
Gotcha.
So it has all the motives that the bard provides, the majority of the items. Basically, you have all the raid buffs, and on top of that, you have both healing capabilities from both the bard and the tactician, and that makes an extremely powerful support soul.
Great. So that means now rogues can really kind of come to the table and bring to their raids and their dungeon groups and their instant adventure groups a real healing soul. Now, I know it's not very good at tank healing. It's basically designed to do group AoE style healing, so it's kind of something that a rogue can bring to the table, kind of like the old classic Ikar builds or some of the old Warden builds, and also some of the things like the Chloromancer is able to do.
Yes, that's right. It is more of a support healer or a group healer rather than a tank healer.
Yeah, and I bet right now, since we mentioned the word Bard, there's probably about 7,000 comments about Bard, right?
That is one of the questions that I already have on here, which is, there've been some teasing about the Bard. Can you talk for those diehard Bard folks out there and explain what's going to be happening?
So we have made a lot of improvements on the bard. First off, we allow you to channel cadence and move at the same time. That makes the bard actually more mobile and less restrictive. Secondly, we cut down the number of motives from 5 to 3. And we also allow coders to refresh your current active motives, which means you only have to use your motives at the start of combat, and you do not really have to actively maintain them or manage them. So that actually opens a lot of options for you to do group healing or single target damage. We introduce also powerful single target damage abilities like, for example, the Cadenza, which is actually similar function to Cadence, except it doesn't do splash healing. So these changes actually makes the bard extremely versatile.
Yeah, so I mean, as a person who, for lack of a better word, bard horses his way through raids, it is a coined term. I didn't make it up. They literally on my server, that's what they call them. Because it's the easiest way for a guy that like me who spends more time making the game to jump in raids and participate. It is a lot nicer because you can, having only 3 motives that you have to worry about putting up in the first place, that's fantastic. My hands thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that my various codas can go ahead and trigger those off is really awesome.
Yeah, you only have 10 fingers to play with,
Yeah. Although I do have on this hand, I use one of those really cool fancy dancy gaming mice. The one
I have one of those.
with the 12 buttons on the side that I always accidentally hit when I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
But it was free, so I use it. Swag is one of those nice things about working in the game industry. What else? I mean, at this point, we've shown a lot about the Tactician. We're running around, doing some instant adventure here. This would be a great time to answer questions if anybody has them. If they don't, we can head out. It's not a big deal.
No, we do have some questions. I know that there are some inquiries into the rogue tanking. Can you tell us a little bit more about how rogue tanking works? What changes have been made and how it works in relation to other tanking souls?
So for Storm Legion, we try to achieve parity in mitigation and health across all tanking souls. So as far as tanking is concerned, all tanking souls are viable in any encounters. It is actually the secondary utilities that differentiates between the individual tanking souls. So for example, rogues are teleporters. They are extremely mobile. Justicers do splash healing. Reavers do AE damage by throwing darts and spreading darts. So the Riftstalker still keeps its team as your teleport tank. But you don't really have to teleport while you're tanking, but you now have the options to move around in places that you don't want to be.
Yeah, so for tanks in general, I almost gave away his real name. Aileron said. Blah, blah, blah. This dude sitting next to me, this is why you do not give me a beer after
Dude, you had like 3 sips of beer.
Yeah,
Don't give me that.
But I was up until like 12 working last night.
And
We
so
had to get
apparently
up
that means
early
that
this morning
2
and open
sips
up the
makes
beta
you a
servers. And
It's not going to keep you up awake.
And now I'm a lightweight. What do you want out of me? Anyways, I was saying something about tanks. And so that's one of the nice things about the tanks now is it is really more of a how's this feel? What style of tank do I want to play? It's not as much about this is the one true tank build. Now, keep in mind, because all of you are going to throw that right back into our face in probably about 15 minutes when you hit the forums, that doesn't mean there isn't going to be situations where one build or another, over the course of balancing it for beta and balancing for live, will be slightly better. That's just something that's always going to happen. That's just the way that MMOs go. But we really have been spending a lot of time with Storm Legion trying to, smooth out the rough edges, make the game a lot more balanced, make the game a lot fairer, especially in the under-the-hood style things that are going on. This is a perfect time for me to dodge out of answering this question by showing the fact that Elrar is riding a bear.
Yes, actually, they noticed that a little bit earlier, and they want to know more about the bear. So give us some pretty views of the bear. I will also throw in another question for going back to the Tactician. Is this a good PvP class, or is it good for PvE? Both? Neither? Just stand around and look pretty with it?
1 versus 1 PvP, say if you're going up against the assassin, maybe the assassin will have an advantage over you. But
Maybe.
in a group
Or like
situation, because of the Tactician's versatility, you can heal when you are required, you can do damage when you're required to the entire enemy group or to your own group.
Yeah, he's really not a soloist, right? It is a slightly more advanced class. It can play really well in PvP. It plays really well in group PvP. It would actually be quite good in Conquest, because that's when you've got nice large packs of people to burn in, right? So, but in a smaller Warfront type situation or in a solo PvP or a duel, they're not going to be as strong.
And this is another good question that we got. What is the soul getting the biggest overhaul?
In the rogue?
In,
or in the game?
in all of it.
And the rogue. Yeah.
Well, we can't answer that question this time around because we haven't done the cleric reveal, so they're just gonna have to wait.
So now everybody's going to think it's the cleric.
Now
so.
it's just gonna have to wait.
Yeah,
It could be.
okay.
It could be a mage soul. But I can't answer that question until we're on the 4th one.
Will we see a new Ranger pet model?
Didn't we put in a bunch of new Ranger pet models?
So the Raptor never
The
got
Raptor.
updated.
The Raptor is
Well,
the
there's
newest edition, right?
There's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, man, Rangers are greedy. They got the first new pets and they want more. What about the poor necromancers or the druid? No druid love out there? None? Not a single bit. Okay. Yeah, so we're still updating a lot of the pet models in the game. Some of those will be coming in with the expansion. Some of them may continue to come in through our live updates as we continue to add things to the game. So if you have a classic pet model, there is a good chance that you may get a new one.
Somebody was also just asking what that flying thing was next to you.
The flying thing?
Oh, that's the Steel Angel, which I believe is a Harbinger ability.
Yeah, so that's that was actually a 61-point Harbinger polymorph. So it's one of the really, really cool abilities that are in the game. I'm not gonna mention exactly how it works, but it is a ability that the Harbingers get at the high levels.
Someone just mentioned in chat that they're super excited about assassins getting 3 poisons now.
Yes, this is one of the signature abilities we introduced at the 61-point talent. So assassins can use 3 poisons, and one of the top tier talents we allow you to use from stealth attack, like assassinate while out of stealth.
Yes, and I know a couple people are asking about recaps if they've been coming in late. Just so you know, we're going to be putting up a replay of this on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/riftmmo. Also, some people are asking how they get into beta because people are obviously noticing that we're on the beta shard. Do you want to tell them a little bit about how they can get in?
Yeah, sure. So the way you get into beta this weekend especially is to pre-order Storm Legion. Any of the versions, whether it's Standard, Infinity Edition Upgrade, or the Storm Chaser Edition, all of those will get you an invite this weekend. The invite isn't automatic, but our friend Gersh here is the man in charge. He'll be around all weekend sending out multiple rounds per day.
Bags
so that,
under my eyes. I've been sending out beta invites all day.
Why that drink is,
So,
one sip and you're done.
Here, here. So another really interesting thing about beta, or why don't you take a screenshot of who we've got on screen right now?
Sure.
For me.
There we
Okay,
go.
cool. Since I have special Uber GM beta privileges, and I happen to be inviting everybody that currently is in your live, your instant adventure group here, is going to get access to our friends and family, and we'll give them exclusive access to even more beta content. So it's really important that you guys continue to participate with us, continue to watch, participate in beta, because one of the important things is while you get a sneak peek this weekend, our very best testers, the people that come out and give us the best feedback, help us find bugs and issues and everything else, we're going to go ahead and upgrade you and get you in and get you to see more of the expansion before anybody else.
People are very excited in chat that you just said that. Got some more questions here from the forums and from email beforehand. Is there any work being planned for the Saboteur?
Saboteur?
Well, we did mention they get multiple cocktails. What else do we have?
We add more bombs. We also have one cloud maker, which actually is a time bomb on the target, and then spreads more time bombs. So, I mean, the Saboteur's team remains the same. It's still about charges, traps, and bombs. And then we add more powerful ones along the way, and we also try to improve the rotation a little bit.
Yeah, so the Saboteur really is one of the classes that's getting more of a cleanup. We're making our rotations a little bit more easy to understand, abilities that are a little weaker, a little bit more powerful, adding some more interesting utility and options, like he said, the Molotov cocktail or the spreading time bomb, those types of things. And the Saboteur, and I wasn't kidding earlier, if you mix the Saboteur with the Tactician, you really do rain fiery death from above. It really is a extremely good AE class. So much that I think you might not be sitting there spamming marksman abilities over and over and over again anymore.
Every time I use it, I just want to cackle with laughter. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure this weekend, in the privacy of my own home, I'll just be laughing
Yes.
the entire
I
time.
hope there's no more fan out.
Yeah, it is not going to be a situation where it's fan out. Oh, what fan out?
Oh, now it's going to be just flamethrowers and bombs.
Flamethrower.
Well, flamethrowers are much cooler anyways.
I already loved doing the one instant adventure where it was just
How'd you
like
get a happy-
flamethrowers coming from everywhere.
Somebody's targeting you.
I know someone's blowing us up.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our raid markers, by the way, there you go. We do have raid markers in the game. We've had them for quite a while, but sometimes people don't get a chance
I
to
think
see them.
I think in 1.10 we added these new little the character ones instead of just the numbers.
Yeah.
So we are getting trolled pretty hard there, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute. Somebody was asking about the assassin. Their question has moved, but I think they just want to hear more about the assassin.
Well, like we said before, the assassin was another one of the already fairly strong thematic rogues. So he was, a situation once again where we enhanced them and kind of built into their existing kind of theme.
Yes.
We did the multiple poisons, for example, so you can get even more poisons if you're a post 50 high level assassin. You can also do, like you were saying,
An ability from stealth while out of stealth.
Yeah,
So,
so
keeping the stealth-oriented team on the assassin.
yeah, or well, more importantly, the burst damage-oriented theme. So we give you opportunities to kind of reactivate those abilities. It really is more of something that is a evolution of the existing class, not a complete replacement.
And I know that there were also some people asking that we talked a little bit about tanking souls, and they wanted to know a bit more about DPS souls. I'm trying to scroll up and see if I can find the actual words. Are DPS souls across the board now all the same damage? That was the question.
Well, I mean, once again, anything we say here, like within 5 minutes, it'll be refuted. The reality is, like I said before, we're trying for a much more balanced game. We're trying to get people a little bit closer together, especially in things like damage, tanking, healing. But to promise that everybody will be balanced from day one is just kind of unrealistic, especially in a game with the complexity of Rift, with as many class choices as Rift has. But we can say that a lot of the DPS classes will be closer than they were before, and that a lot of the changes that we've made under the hood to the game will help keep them closer. So, I've said it before, I've said it again, we've done a lot to help with gear scaling in a bunch of different classes, so that helps a great deal because it means that people are going to be a lot more consistent as they level up, and certain classes aren't going to be that much better than other classes depending on certain gear levels in the game. But yeah, the overall goal, like we said, it's always been our goal to try and get the game as balanced as possible. It's a really difficult goal. It's why we have people here every hour of the day working on it throughout the past, 2 years now, and we get closer and closer every day.
I do just want to break into Redwar, who did say, one of our German community managers was saying that you would really like to hear your name on stream. So please don't get too excited like you said you would, but Redwar, you're awesome, and thank you. Going back to more questions. Yes, now we're going to get spammed, but Hergen asked, so there you go. Some people are asking what your favorite rogue, souls, abilities, combinations are.
My favorite rogue combination? I actually like Saboteur with Tactician, because that is actually a soul of mass destruction. You just throw bombs and melt faces with your flamethrower. It's actually really good for taking groups of enemies at a time.
Yeah, that took over your old favorite, which was the marksman with Eradicate.
Yes.
Yeah, you sit by me, so I constantly hear you cackling as you do that. On my end, I've still traditionally, my rogue of choice has stayed the same pretty much from now until the end of time. I am an assassin person. That is still my favorite rogue soul, no matter how cool flamethrowers are. I will stick to it from beginning to end, because that's just right here.
Here's another question coming in from chat. Are there more range abilities for the Bard?
More range abilities?
Yeah, well, actually, I think actually said more range for Bard abilities. Apologies.
More range for? Like greater range?
I think so.
Okay, so we are still keeping the range to be at 20 meters. So, firstly, because we want to put the bot in the middle of the group in a raid, right? So, at least the tanks and the melee guys get to enjoy the buffs that the bot does. If we adjusted it to a longer range, we're gonna have to put a very, very huge radius on his motifs and anthems, which we would try to avoid that.
Yeah, we still want people to be stuck into combat. We don't want a bard hiding behind a rock playing his lute. So the other nice thing about it is, part of the reason we want you to be in combat is we did just give you the ability to do a whole lot more stuff while playing your support role. I'm drawing a blank tonight, Alaron said. We gave you cadenza, which is, the ability to do damage. There are a couple other abilities in there. So it's not going to be a situation where you want to tuck behind anymore. You actually want to get up close and personal, because you're going to spend less time buffing, more time doing damage, more time healing. So you're already going to be in range of the things that you need to be in range to hit with your buffs.
Yes, and on top of that, we also make the bard abilities, the attack ones, considered ranged weapon attacks. As such, they actually synergize very well with the marksman and the ranger.
Real quick, how do I clear my PvP flag? Do you remember that?
Off the top of my head, no.
PvP
You could just die.
Yeah, also, aren't you right now unkillable? I mean, everybody who's asking you to duel can't really beat you,
No.
right? Yeah, so you guys might want to stop doing that, because he will just crush you because he's cheating.
So what else? I'm sure we have at least one or two more questions.
So,
right?
one is pretty specific. Can Blade Dancer get a much-needed soloing boost? But that was the one that just came by, so I'm throwing that at you.
A great soloing boost.
Well, I mean,
Blade Dancers have been very good at soloing.
well, I mean, Blade Dancers combined with certain souls are good at soloing.
Yes.
But Blade Dancers did get a pretty decent improvement overall when we went through and rebalanced the rogues with some of the improvements to weapon damage and attack power. So somebody actually did kill you. Kill yourself.
Well, no, they did ask to show how he dies, so he
Gotcha.
did. He was just
There you
listening
go.
to them.
He dies. So yeah, back on the Blade Dancer
dying
though.
again, you're not invincible.
A lot of the improvements that came on the Blade Dancer were just improving and boosting his existing abilities, right? So we wanted to make sure that the physical damage classes, some of them that lagged a little bit behind the magical damage classes, had better scalability, especially considering the scalability with attack power. And you're going to see a lot of the improvements on the Blade Dancer there.
Some other questions. How about stealth changes? Are there any? You're going to get some really specific ones toward the end.
No, stealth changes. Stealth is still stealth. I mean, the assassin still remains to be the only person that can stay in permanent stealth in the entire game.
Still has slip away.
Yep.
And here's another good one. How well are Riftstalker and Tactician going to mix together?
So the Tacticians, like the first 8 points, have some tanking related talents or defensive related talents, which actually complements well with the Riftstalker. So by putting 8 points into Tactician, you have your curative engine, which heals you when you take damage. And on top of that, you now give the Riftstalker a range pulling ability with one of the torrents.
Yeah, well, I mean, also it helps for keeping aggro and dealing AE damage, or doing some range pull, or doing some group pulls as well.
Here's another specific one, and I think we'll take maybe two more after this. Why was Shadow Warp removed?
Why was Shadow Warp removed? So now you're asking very specific abilities
Why
on
one
the
of
beta
the teleport
server.
removed?
So I'm actually going to answer this one. So first of all, we're on the beta server. So it might be gone now, it may be back tomorrow. You never know. That's the important part about giving feedback, going back to the forums and giving feedback.
But do remember there's an NDA. As
There
well.
is there is an NDA.
But there
But
is
so,
our beta forums.
So the gentleman who asked that question, we're going to give you a pass on that. Because that was an NDA
One
breach.
and only time.
One and only pass. But I'm going to answer the question regardless. We did look at a number of things like the Riftstalker teleports and some of like the marksman speed buffs, and we did adjust and remove and move around some of those abilities. The main reason why is, especially when we started adding some of the high-level abilities, things got a little too out of control with certain classes being completely uncatchable.
And I think this actually brings up a good point that I'm interested in, and I think other people out there will be, even though it's not a specific question. On the beta server, how is feedback used, and what is your process generally in trying to tweak and change? And you're saying some things are around one day, they change and come back and go away.
That's the nature of beta, right? If you were with us when we first launched Rift, you know that our in between weekend betas, we did tons and tons of work. So we're out there always looking on the forums. We are reading through every little bit of alpha and beta feedback. We actually have, for some of our beta testers, specific email addresses that they can send data into. We work very closely with our players, especially our really good testers, the ones that give really good feedback. And we try to make changes based off of that feedback on a very, very rapid pace. For example, the other day, we have some of our 24/7 testers. We're go ahead, they're playing, they're leveling up. They happen to all find a nice little exploit where a NPC was giving out a quest to kill one monster that rewarded a lot of experience. And they all thought it was great and humorous and funny, and they weren't going to tell us. But since they were actually playing with one of us and didn't even realize it, it was about 2 seconds later that we had it fixed and uploaded, and we kind of spoiled their day. But the funny thing about that is for the players that come on and give us that feedback, those things are super valuable because we are there playing with you on the server. We see how you play. We play with you. We actually on the live servers do the exact same thing. The only difference is with beta, we can be a lot more open with you guys, have really good conversations, get really good feedback, and make changes a lot faster.
people actually would love to see that world map again for longer.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it has work in progress plastered on
Yeah.
it, but that was one of the requests.
It's totally all.
Here, you can leave it up however long it takes me to finish the beer.
It's totally totally all GPS. We can
Oh God.
we can uncover this.
He's actually
so you
drinking
can
that.
see
He
it.
is most definitely not faking.
There's
And
no.
it's closed.
Yeah.
Alright, you
I
can
mean,
close it down. He finished it.
There we go.
He drank that really fast.
You can see how massive the world is, though.
Somebody is asking about two-handed weapons. I'm not seeing.
Oh,
other
we're back
than-
to two-handed weapons
Yes,
again.
all I'm seeing
Sounds
is
like a warrior
two-handed
stuck in.
weapons would have been interesting. I'm not really sure what conversation I missed that was happening there.
Yes.
How long until you are drunk?
Not long enough.
All right, so
Hang out on beta, you might find out. If the GM starts talking, the god in the sky, you know it's me.
So I think we're gonna take one more question. So I'm just gonna watch them go by. If there's one thing that you guys are most excited about for all of Storm Legion, that before I pick our last question, you want to talk about, do you want to give a couple minutes and say what you're most excited about?
I keep doing this every week. It's hard to come up with a new thing, so it's all you.
What do you want me to say?
What are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to? Come on, there's got to be
Dimensions.
other than a week off. What else are you looking forward to?
PvP,
PvP?
dimensions. That is something I'm
Yeah.
so looking forward to.
So Dimensions, yeah, I mean, you get a chance to check Dimensions out right now in beta. I think we're actually going to be doing a live stream about them pretty soon, aren't we?
We are in a couple weeks now, I think.
So two things. People are asking about PvP and energy fixes.
Yeah, I bet they're asking about PvP. How did we miss energy fixes?
Yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah! Wow. How do we get through this
This
whole
whole
thing
thing
without that
without
coming
getting
up?
up.
Holy
Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised
Well,
no one asked
damn,
me
we're
that.
out of time, aren't we?
Oh,
We just
man.
don't have time to answer that one, do we?
Just pull.
I will have all the time you want or don't want.
Go ahead. Why don't you
So-
tell them what we did with energy?
One of the major improvements we did to the rogues in general, so we have adjusted ability cost and energy regeneration across all the rogue souls. So if you're just using single target abilities, you would take a very long time to starve unless you are using AE attacks and off GCD attacks. Secondly, if you notice, now combo point stays on the rogue. Yes, so that makes target switching more friendly and less restrictive.
Yeah, so overall, I mean, we wanted to keep the rogues fast and furious. Energy is going to be less of an issue, especially if you're doing single target damage, which is what the rogues excel in. We're also, left the combo points on the rogue so they can switch around targets. That's actually really good for the Riftstalker, by the way. And the other thing to note is you are going to run out of energy. You will run out of energy if you're doing a lot of burst damage or if you're doing a lot of AE damage. If you're just constantly, hauling out the flamethrower and just going.
So like for example, Arrow, demonstrate the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
You will
So
drain.
We
really
can
quickly.
count off how quickly it takes. Like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Oh, well, you find a target. You don't need to hit something to blow it up.
Oh, so-
Just hit the button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Okay,
So,
16 seconds.
16-ish seconds if you're going all out with some of your best AE abilities in the game, which is a lot longer, even for something like that, than what is currently going on.
Yeah, it's like 4 to 5 cycles, depending on how fast you are to queue it up.
Yeah, and apparently we've acquired a bunch of tacticians here in this instant adventure, or whatever you're doing.
Crossfire.
So, I think one last question before we get going, just for people who may have missed it. Since we are on the beta shard, can you give a quick overview of how you get into beta, where, if you missed some of this live stream, you can get it, and where you should be watching for any of our future live streams, because we're going to have quite a few.
Yeah, so this whole month, up till launch actually, so a little bit of November too, we're going to have at least one live stream every week. So every Friday at 2:30 for the rest of the month, you can look forward to at least one more. We might try and throw as many as we can in there, depending on how sane we all remain for the rest of the
He's
month.
not very sane right now,
But,
just in case you're wondering.
So yeah, so to get into the beta though, make sure you can either go into your account center and opt in. That gives you a chance. If we need additional bodies to come in and help us stress test this out, we'll use that pool. But to guarantee your invite to all 3 beta events, what you're going to want to do is pre-order the game. Any version of Storm Legion counts, and we'll be sending out invites every day, a couple times per day. So if you've pre-ordered and you haven't gotten in yet this afternoon, just wait a little bit, and Gersh is going to push the magic button.
I've been here busy doing a live stream,
and he'll get you an invite as soon as he gets back, or not as soon as he gets back, but as soon as he gets to it. So
Literally in 30 seconds after this ends, you guys will all have your invites.
Wow, thanks guys.
You're welcome.
I just drank a beer. I might need to go tea.
So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, stay tuned to all our channels, our Twitter, our Facebook, our blog, our forums, and we will let you know about new shenanigans as they begin.
Absolutely.
And so thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and enjoy beta, those of you in it, and please come and join us if you've pre-ordered.
Bye, guys.